Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Sadly, under unfortunate circumstances. I mean, it's not the ideal situation. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm also not going to beat around the bush and saying that this is my second take in doing this video, because I'd already recorded a nice 14-15 minute match reaction, only to figure out that the microphone was turned off. And we could have sufficed with just the camera audio. However, if you've not noticed, I'm not at home. I'm not in the usual 118 surroundings. I'm at the garage for ICW Fear and Loathing. There's some tickets still available. If you have time, go and purchase them and come to the biggest show of the year for ICW. And there was obviously audio tests and whatnot going on in the background, which meant that you cannot hear a word that I was saying. So I'm going to try and summarise my match reaction and get through my match reaction as quickly as I possibly can. And I apologise for that, because I understand that it's a pretty complex one today. I mean, if it was any other weekday matchup, we could have probably just bullshitted our way through this. And that was not the words that I don't condone language like that. Any other weekend, I could probably just kind of bullshit my way through it. But it's the start of a new era, and it's an unfortunate start. One that I was kind of fully prepared for this to be a difficult weekend. I do apologise for any noise in the background. You're just going to have to bear with through all of that. But what I was going to say was, I was always anticipating this to be a tough weekend, because ultimately, no matter who was in charge or what the situation was, this was always going to be a tough weekend. I don't want people to click on this and thinking, oh, here we go, it's Ryan 118 excusing another manager for mistakes, for tactical flaws, for things that could have been done different. No, I don't want to come across like that. I don't. I want to be honest. But I am just giving my honest. This channel is for my opinions, and these are my opinions. Whether you like them or no, or you agree with them or no, we're all entitled to them. But for me today, it wouldn't have mattered who was in the dugout. It was always going to be difficult. And that doesn't mean you suddenly lower the standards or you lower the expectations. At Celtic Park especially, and as a Celtic fan, we expect to win every single game. They were the standards that were set a long, long time ago. So I'm not going to just excuse losing or anything. But I think at the same time, there's a word called leeway. And in certain situations, you need to give a little bit of leeway. And it was always going to be tough today. Because let's not pretend that domestically we've been good at any point this season. There's been a couple of good performances. I think back to, the Rangers semi-final at Hampden. We played really well that day. I think back to, Falkirk a few weeks ago. We played really well. But Dundee crawled over the line. Terrible performance. St Mirren, last-minute winner, crawled over the line. Hibs crawled over the line. Domestically, 90% of what we've done this year has probably been below par. And that's spanned now across 3 separate managers, if you include today's game. So I never expected to go into this and have it easy this afternoon against Hearts, no matter the situation. Now, could we have made it better? Could the new manager have done things to give us a better chance? Yes, but also, could there be a better squad in the park? A better group of players in the park to give us a chance this afternoon? Yes, and for me, that's still the biggest difference about anything that we can do right now. That is still the major stumbling block at Celtic Football Club. We can talk, and we will talk about systems, we'll talk about tactical nuance, we'll talk about things that could have been done better today from a coaching point of view, but ultimately the major frailties in this team are still on show when you put 11 players out in the park, because the squad is not good enough. We have a huge lack of quality in the final third, which cost us from scoring goals in the first half. We have wingers and wide players who simply aren't good enough and aren't creating enough, and we just genuinely have a team that there is so many question marks over certain players, and I think it's going to take a long time and patience to get behind that. I think ultimately, between now and the end of the season, we're looking at a Celtic side and a new manager and a situation that we're going to have to buckle up and go through some shite until at least January, when we can make reinforcements, when we can make improvements to the team. We have a run through in 5 minutes, so I'm going to have to try and summarise. Yeah, we need reinforcements. We really do. Let's talk about the football. Let's try and fit in some talk about the football in the first game in this new era. I actually really liked what I saw of the first half hour in Celtic's game. I really did. I thought we looked. I looked like we had a lot of bite back in our performance. I thought we were getting stuck in. I liked some of the direct football we were playing. There was a lot of great balls in behind defenders, through balls into strikers, and I thought we looked really, really ambitious in our play. I thought there was an intensity back in the team as well, carrying over from kind of the intensity that Martin O'Neill started bringing back in. I thought the first half an hour, I was like, I like this. I like this a lot. It's looking good. And then I've said it all season. We have a lot of shite bags in the team. This isn't something that's just new. This isn't something that I'm saying now in December. I said this in August. I said this after Kaira Almaty. There's a lot of shite bags in the Celtic team right now. And that happened again today after half an hour when we hadn't had our goal and after we missed a couple of really good chances that you probably should be scoring. Players went back into their shell. And players disappeared. And that is ultimately going to cost you. That's going to cost you. And it cost us today. It cost us big time today. So, there's a lot of perseverance that's going to have to be done. And a lot of things that Wilfried Nancy is going to have to figure out, which he isn't going to necessarily have figured out after meeting with the group of players on Thursday morning for the first time. Didn't even have a full training session on Thursday. So, is he going to have it figured out? Is he going to have cracked the code? Is he going to have made it work by then? By this Sunday? Since Thursday? No, of course not. And I'm worried that might take longer than we have the patience for. But I hate to break it to you, you're just going to have to be patient about it. It's as simple as that. And he could have done a lot of things differently today that would have helped him, I think, and it would have helped this group of players. And maybe that's just going to take him some time to figure out about certain players and what's going to work and what's not going to work. But ultimately, it's not a 3-day process. It's not at all. As I said, I liked the first half hour. After that, we looked sort of toothless, and I think the second half was a bit worrying because at points it looked like information overload. It looked like players were getting asked to do things they weren't really familiar with, and that's all kind of part and parcel with coaching changes and managerial changes. A lot of people will talk about whether or not Wilfried Nancy should have went straight in, two-footed for his own system. I'm not going to change my tune from what I said. I'm going to be consistent. One thing I try and pride myself on in this channel is consistency, and I'm glad that he went straight in for it because I think he's got to learn very, very soon what he needs and what works and what doesn't. So I don't blame him for that, but I do think that in that second half there should have been enough signs that something had to change. I think he should have took note of that. I think he should have understood that, and maybe that would have got us into the game sooner rather than scoring a goal in the 90th minute. Maybe we wouldn't have conceded a stupid second goal. I don't know, but that's one of the things that he's going to have to learn and part with the job as well. It's not all about the players cooperating with him, it's also about him cooperating with the players, and I think that balance will be found when he's had longer to work with them, but he needs to do it soon. He does. Patience is required, but he also needs to be adaptable in that concern. Let me finish this very, very quickly because it's nearly doors opening time. Time has escaped me. The video that went wrong in the first place has really cost me. So let me try and finish this very, very quickly. No a great start. Am I going to be patient? Absolutely. And do I think we can get better under Wilfried Nancy? Of course I do. And I'm not going to throw my toys at the pram and start to think of the dreadful, dreary possibilities so early on after one game. We didn't quit. And that's, I think, one of the things that's very, very important about today. The goal was too late, and we had another couple of chances. Hatate hits the bar, we force a great save at the keeper. If Maida scores his chances in the first half, which he really has to, he can't keep getting away with these bad misses. It could have been a different game, but it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda. We need quality, and we'll need to find it fast for the expectations of our support and this football club. But I'm willing to be patient in that quest. That quest for the glory we long for is going to take some time. And I'm not going to keep making the lazy comparisons to former managers and all the rest of it because that's, once again, lazy. But I remember another guy in his first domestic game losing 2-1, or losing actually, was it 3-1 to Hearts on his first domestic game. Granted, it was at Tynecastle. And the next 2 years that followed after that were pretty bloody good. So, will we get that? I don't know. I'm not going to throw that in the air and say that that's what's going to happen. But I'm hoping it is. And we just, look, some players are just not good enough. We know that, and it's not anything new. And some players have probably just ran their course here. So we need improvement. We need reinvestment. Hopefully we get that pretty soon. And pretty much that's that. So not a great start. And I'll talk about it more in depth tomorrow. I'll do a live stream. We can cover everything. I'll do an extended live. We'll get all your points, your concerns and questions, and we'll get going from there.